That was my bad, guys. I apologize. I was over on another stream when I go to those when I use StreamYard, like a lot of people use. I have to change my mic settings, and then when I come back to Streamlabs, I don't always remember to change it. My bad. What's up? What fucking day is it anyway? Thursday. Fucking Thursday. Damn. Well, that's cool. I got to be honest with you guys. I got a pretty cool topic that we're going to kind of get into and talk about here the next few minutes. Todd J, let's go freedom and unity family worldwide. The power of unity can stop wars. Yeah. So I had an interesting conversation the other day over on the Powder Dusty. And we're going to get into that. Before I do, I have to play I got to play my first public service announcement. This is a public service announcement because I understand that not everyone here is a friend. Not everyone here values my opinion. And some of the people in the background are not going to like what I have to say. And they're perfectly free to be vocal about it. However, at some point, if you feel yourself crying, if the words hurt, if it stings a little, remember.
Everyone does it. Now you can do it too. Shut the fuck up. Shut your mouth. Shut up. Shut the hole in your face. Like that. You can do it. Shh. Shut up. And shut the fuck up.
It's just a public service announcement, folks. I understand. Understand that I have to do this. There are people out there. Raise Moto Life. I have StreamYard. I pay for the core plan. I had StreamYard. I still have StreamYard, but I reduced StreamYard down to the lowest amount that I can pay a year because they literally like time 100 the amount that I paid. I had the ultimate StreamYard Pro plan, whatever the fuck, and StreamYard fucked me, man. Like they went from like $30 a year to 300 or 380. I forget whatever the fuck it was going to be, but I was like, why am I paying that much? This is just streaming service, right? It doesn't do anything for me. I already had Stream Labs, and for the $11 a month or whatever I pay, which I don't even think it's $11 a month, but whatever it is I pay, Streamlabs does everything I need it to do. It's free. It works with OBS innately. It has much more flexibility, and it just is so much better as far as, interacting with the different softwares. Now, the only thing where it struggles is if we're trying to get audio from Zoom. Sometimes Discord will be a little fucked up. So it goes back to $45. Fuck, dude, $50 a month for streaming service is just not worth it. It just isn't. StreamYard doesn't do anything better than anybody else. Like, it really doesn't. Especially not Streamlabs, especially if you're using OBS. If you're already using OBS and not using Streamlabs, OBS, and Talk Studio together, you're just way better off doing it that way. So anyway, yeah, I think it's like $11 a month for top tier Streamlabs, $10 a month, something like that. It's cheap. So the other night, there was a guy. I was over on Dusty's, and I was talking about something else, and this guy in the chat was basically saying that that I lack integrity because I wasn't throwing Marte under the bus over Grokgate, right? Now I'm going to get into that. I promise I will. We're gonna get into that a little later in the show. We'll get into Grokgate a little later, and how I feel about it, what I'm doing about it, where I think we need to go from here, and that sort of thing. Grokgate, ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to hurt any of you. It's okay. You're fine. Don't worry. It's good. So if the So anyway, this guy, basically says I lack integrity. I called him out on it. He came up. Now, one of the things that he started talking about was how I made my money. His claim, with no basis in reality, he just feels this way. He's like all about feelings. My feelings are big time with that dude. His feeling is that I had family money. Maybe I'd inherited it or won it or had some other sort of windfall that could account for me being able to accomplish the things in life that I've accomplished. Because he just physically can't, he can't mentally understand how someone like me could be doing better than him without an advantage that he doesn't have. Is my guess. I have no proof to back that up. I think he did very well. Yeah, it's none of his business, but I entertained him. And so I started to try and tell him the background, right? I went to college. I did a little over 4 years of college. And I say that like it's a prison sentence because for me, effectively, college was a prison sentence. It was what I did between work. And at the end of the day, it was the worst investment I've ever made. I could have done way better if I knew more. If I knew now what I back then, if I knew what I know now back then, whole different story. Which is one of the reasons why I take the time to do this show, to talk to people about making good choices and making good choices for your family, and just basically all of that, right? Like this is important stuff. All right. So when I started talking, that I went racing for a while on my own, very cheap cars, not a lot of money, but I did spend basically every dollar I made went into my racing, right? Like I didn't own a VCR back then. I had a TV that somebody gave me, like out of one of my college friends just gave me when they moved out of their apartment. I was the cheapest bastard you could think of. I ate Totino's pizzas. I had ramen was a staple of my diet. And this was just how I lived. I lived the same way, right? I lived the same way for probably over 10 years while I was working, and I was actually making really good money. Right? What's up, dirty rotten people? What's Ray's Moto Life Unfiltered? Yeah, most of the time we do sacrifice a lot to accomplish other goals. Some of us just don't need all the accessories when we're that young. Yeah, absolutely. So here, and this is what he does. I'm assuming he just couldn't understand. We're going to get into this. This all applies to what we're going to talk about today. So just bear with me. I know I'm going to be a little bit long-winded here. Just bear with me. This is something that's important. I lived as cheaply as I possibly could. I rented rooms in townhouses for $300 a month or whatever, rather than rent an entire apartment. I worked more hours than most people would even dream about. When I actually went to work for the race shop in North Carolina, for the first 6 months, I didn't get an apartment. I lived in the shop because there was no point in me having an apartment, because the reality is that there's a shower in the shop. There was a place for me to sleep. I had a sleeping bag and an air mattress or whatever. And I could, everything I needed to do, I could do in the shop. I was in the shop through the week, and then I would come back to, I was in North Carolina through the week. And then on the weekends I would, or maybe every other weekend, I would come back to Nashville and hang out with my friends, because I had no friends in North Carolina. What that did is it gave me a lot of extra money that I just didn't do anything with, right? And I kind of saved it, spent some, but mostly saved it. And what it really did is it gave me a lot of connections in the industry. When you're working with someone that wins, when you're working for people that are at the sharp end of the stick, when you introduce yourself and you're wearing that uniform that says Speedworks, you're wearing the uniform that says Porsche, and you introduce yourself to somebody, they take you seriously. This is important in life, guys. This is a very important thing. When you meet someone and you're trying to move further in your life, you're trying to advance your career. It's one thing if you meet somebody and you don't want to go, you can sit, they're a buddy or a friend or whatever, that's fine. If you're going to meet a supply, like if you're a truck driver, I know a lot of my audiences are truck drivers. If you're a truck driver and you're dropping off, and if it were me and I were a truck driver and I was dropping off somewhere every single day, I would literally have a clean jacket or a clean shirt to slip over whatever I wore. If what I wore was dirty, every single time I showed up anywhere, and when I was racing, I was always professional. I always looked like I belonged. I looked like I was the most capable person on the team. Even if I really wasn't, even if there were like 2 or 3 guys who could do better than me, the reality is that I absolutely looked like, literally, I looked like I knew what I was doing. That's important because you never know. You never know who's going to offer you a job one day. Who's going to say, hey, man, you look fucking awesome. I see you come in here every week and you're on time. You show up. You do what you're supposed to do. You even help out. Ask if there's anything you can do to help us out. We're looking for a guy and we're going to pay the guy pretty good. Do you want to be a part of that? Do you want to be a part of that? Could you be the guy for us? Right. And I don't care what position you are in life. When the opportunities that you miss are sometimes more important than the opportunities that are presented to you. And I made sure I'm not going to say that I made great opportunities or, great impressions all the time, but my mentality has always been when people meet me, they see the best version of me that I can be that day. You just don't understand. When you meet somebody and you walk up and you shake a man's hand, he looks at you and he decides in a few minutes whether you're competent or whether you're a fucking joke. And he may not say that, and it probably treats you 100% normal and nobody will care, but know that we all do it. I do it. To this day, I meet somebody, I shake their hand, I look at them, and I decide right then and there whether I can do business with them. Now, a lot of times I decide that I can't, but I'm going to give them the chance anyway. Not everybody does that. So, hey, Natalia, good to see you out in the chat. Anson's out there. He's trolling, and he's not trolling today. Actually, he made a very great comment. He sure did. So the thing is that, when I went to work in Colorado and I refined my craft. I specifically went to Colorado. I took that job specifically because I was at the point in my life where I wanted to open my own shop. I had already tried once before and failed miserably. Like I barely even got it open before I closed it again. So I didn't understand the workings of how to make a shop work. I could do the work, I could I could get the business in the door, but I really didn't understand the dynamics of running a shop, of running a race team, of putting all the pieces together. And once I recognized that I had pieces missing in my game, I made a decision, a choice to go out and fill those holes in my game. That's why that is the entire reason why I moved from Tennessee to Colorado. I could have stayed in Tennessee. I could have made money doing mercenary work. I was making a shit ton of money doing it. As a matter of fact, I took a massive pay cut to go to Colorado to do what I was going to do and be a part of that organization. But they were the best. They're still top shelf, but they were the best. And if you want to be the best, if you can, you go to the best. If you want to be known as the best, you associate with the best. You can't just claim that you're the best. You can't just show up one day and be like, yep, went to school, know everything about it. I'm fucking best at this shit. Can't do it. Doesn't work. Does not work. I literally sat down with the owner and I told the owner, he asked me, he's like, what do you want to do? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I said, in 5 years, I'm going to own my own shop. I'm coming here specifically to see how you run things and how you do things. And I'm going to own my own shop one day. It may be in 5 years, maybe 10 years, but at some point I'm going to own my own shop. He said, that's an admirable goal. Let's see if you can do it. I just told him up front, 100%. This is what I'm going to do. This is why I'm coming here. I'll give you the absolute best work I can give you. You give me the absolute best opportunities you can give me so that I can reach my goal and we'll be happy. And he paid me pretty well. Made decent money there. But what I really did is I learned everything there was to know about running a shop and running a really professional race team and running a world champion level effort. And the differences between the club race guy that does it on a budget and strings together weekends and maybe can do 5 races out of 10 a year, and a pro guy that's, testing every single week, runs every race of the year, all new equipment, everything. I learned, I absorbed, or refined my craft. So then I left. No, I actually was a dick when I left. I'm going to be honest. I've been very honest about this my whole life. I sat down with the owner of the company. His name was Bob. Bob sits me down and he says, hey, man, we're, feel like we're at an impasse here. What's going on? Bob and I had some disagreements. I was doing a bunch of high performance track car and street car work. And he really wanted to the business was focused on racing and some restoration, but mostly pro racing, high-end club racing. So while we were on technically the same page, we weren't actually on the same page. It's becoming a conflict. And I was at that point, I was chafing at the bit a little. I wanted to get out on my own. I felt like the time was just about right. I would have stayed there another year, but basically I left. And he didn't have to, but he gave me my full severance package, right? This is an example of being an excellent boss or manager. He could have fucked me. I left. I quit. That meant that I had no claim to my severance package at all. The contract that I signed when I went to work for him, he did not have to honor that shit at all. But because we had a mutual respect for each other, and because even though I was kind of a dick, I didn't stab him in the back. I talked to him like a man. We worked it out to where both of us were happy. I mean, neither one of us were truly happy, but we were happy enough with the deal. And he gave me my full severance package. He didn't have to do that. He's an excellent leader. He is a true influence in how to deal with people. It cost him very little money to do that for me in the grand scheme of things. It meant the world to me. Not because I needed that extra little bit of cash, but because it was a sign. It was such a sign of respect between us that he did that. So that's when I started my own shop. I went out, I rented a building, bought some equipment, used equipment. I didn't buy new equipment. That's dumb. Right? Hired a couple of guys. I got really busy really quick. I hired a couple of guys, hired more guys, did the race team, bought a paint and body shop, At one point in time, I had 60 people. We never got into this the other night. At one point in time, I had 60 people working for me. I had 3 managers. 4, technically. One of them just, we just never had one long enough. Emmett be slacking on the shorts. That one he put up today is funny. It makes me look bad, but it's funny. It's funny as fuck. Brian all freaking out and shit. But there's another one due today, here in a few hours. So it's going to be good. And once I had my first shop up and running and making money and doing good things, we were off to the races, baby. Hey, there's Kim. Kim, I'm not full of shit. I didn't have money before I started any of this. I was a poor motherfucker. My brother's still poor. My family is still poor. My mom and my now dead stepdad. I went into money. I literally went into racing to make money. If that's your problem, you're a fucking idiot. I can even tell you how to do it. I'm trying to tell you how to do it. I didn't have when I went to Colorado, I had a little bit of money. I didn't have a lot. I had like 10 grand when I moved to Colorado from Tennessee. I could have stayed in Tennessee and made a lot more money. Well, that shows what you know, Kim. You're full of shit. It's not rare for a team to be profitable. You just don't understand racing because you don't have a fucking brain. Because you can't believe that someone like me can do it on pure skill and determination. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you, bro. I'm sorry. I truly am. As far as being profitable, being profitable is not interesting. You did some research. Okay. Profitability is an interesting thing, right? Like you have operations that try and show a lot of loss. I'm a victim of the colonizers. That's funny. So it's an interesting deal when you're talking about trying to make money in racing, right? So you will lose a lot of money if you are an enthusiast who goes out and pays everybody to do everything for you. You're going to lose money. Eventually you'll go broke. Most race team owners go broke. They don't retire. And that actually is fact. Now you have people like Greg Lowles, Farmbarker and Lowles, who got a bunch of investment through some really shitty business practices, and which turned out to be basically a pyramid scheme. And he was basically a charlatan, right? He's a thief. He's in jail now because he ran a Ponzi scheme, and he used the Farmbacher name to add authenticity to himself. And but it was all bullshit. Right. Like they never made a dime. They paid a bunch of different people a bunch of money. I mean, they had Lawson Ossenbach and Wolf Hensler from Porsche racing for them. And Porsche was paying for that. Right. They weren't paying all of it. But in my case, I had a very clear business model. And look, I don't know if you can't do it right now, I don't think, but it is possible to do it. Limited 360 says you do vehicle tuning. I just very much like tuning other people's cars, as they do not take care of things properly. Yeah. One of the big problems we had in the tuning shop was we would give people like a list of shit not to do, and then they go fucking do it. As a matter of fact, when we built engines, we had a very, very specific procedure for building engines. We had educated the machine shop that we used. We had 2. We had a block shop, and then we had a company that did just the rotating assemblies, and we did everything else in-house. And we had those guys doing, perfect work. It was so great. The problem came in that we would send out these engines, and they would get installed into people's vehicles, and they would literally like put shitty injectors back in, and not change fuel filters or, put oil coolers that have been blown, where they've blown the engine up. They just hook everything back up, and it would take all of the shit that was in the oil cooler and run it back through the engine and wipe the bearings out. And so we ended up we wouldn't send out an engine without proof that if it had an external oil cooler, that oil cooler had to be replaced with a brand new one. You had to have the injectors needed to be brand new with flow charts, or they had to be remanufactured with flow charts, right? Or rebuilt with flow charts and balanced and everything. And it just, you don't think about it ruining engines, but we did a lot of returns and ate a bunch of fucked up engines because of people not doing shit right. As a matter of fact, I have a little project car kicking around. I've got this Mini Cooper my wife likes Mini Coopers, and I bought one. I ended up with 3 of them for some stupid ass reason. So it's a little turbo car, and I have a bill for $7,000 from the prior owner where they just had the turbocharger replaced. And they had to replace the turbocharger because the turbo return line or feed line had cracked. It's a known problem with the car. And so they replaced the turbo, new feed line, all that shit. That's all good. But the problem is they never emptied out the fucking intercooler. So this car smoked when the guy got it back. And he sold it to me. I bought it for parts, and it ended up running okay. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this car? There's something going on here. I took it apart yesterday just because I had some free time. And the intercooler literally had a quart of oil in it. A quart of fucking oil. Like, what kind of dumbass mechanic? This is why people hate mechanic shops. This is why people will sit there and bitch about work getting done. In some cases, it's justified. $7,000 to replace a turbocharger and oil lines and a couple other small things, but they didn't pull the intercooler off and clean it out or just replace it. I mean, a stock intercooler for that car is $500. Why not do that? I mean, it's a $3,000 car to start with, but why spend $7,000 on it? So it's shit like that, man. It just, we stopped shipping engines outside of the state. It wasn't on the list, right? It didn't say to do it. That's why they didn't do it. So what I did with racing bled over into the rest of the shops, right? So my, that's how that works out. I don't understand I don't know where Kim is. I don't understand Kim's mental block here that I worked for race shops. I became really good at it. I made a lot of good connections. I went out on my own. I did a tuning shop for 2 years. I went from there. I didn't actually race during that period of time. As a matter of fact, one of the, out of respect for my previous employer, again, guys, there's a way to conduct yourself in life. Kim is a perfect example of how you do not conduct yourself in life. Making ass assumptions, being a dickhead, being a little bitch because he can't do it and somebody else can. So don't be Kim. This is how you conduct yourself in life. I didn't have to, but partially because, hey, what's up, Crystal Strange? Partially because I got my full severance, but also out of respect for my former employer, a grown-ass man, we stayed out of racing for 2 years out of respect. One, I didn't want it to look like that I was poaching customers from my former employer. I hate that shit. I think that's the lowest of the low things that you can do in life. I can't think of anything worse than leaving an employer and then taking clients with you right out of the gate. Now, if they follow you, that's one thing, but basically open the same kind of business and taking their clients, that's bullshit. Don't do that. That's No, don't do that. So 2 years, all I did were streetcars. We did a lot of them. I did a really badass. I had a client that was serving overseas, and he would be home for like he was a contractor. So he would be home for like 2 or 3 months and then go back over to the sandbox. When he was home, he had tons and tons of money, just amazing amounts. And we did a bunch of nitrous on this Viper. He came by the day he got it back. He loved that car so much. We ended up having to fill the tank for him 3 times in one day. He was just out just on night. He must have been on nitrous like all fucking day. Like he must have had so much fun with that car. And you're with Holly? Interesting. Holly bought AEM. I did a bunch of the beta test work for AEM on several of their ECUs. And I'm annoyed with Holly for buying them and discontinuing them. What's up, Emmett? How are you? So unlike Kim, out of respect for my former employer, I didn't go into racing for the next couple of years. This is how you conduct yourself as an adult in the job world. It just is. Going to work for a competitor is stupid, right? Like, I mean, I guess going to work for a competitor, if you just don't give a shit, is fine. I gave a shit. Now, after that 2 years, we started racing. We would host track days for our clients. We did club racing. We did vintage racing. We did everything. I did a little bit of everything. The 2 things that I really did were the Mazda RX-8s and the MX-5s. We also did a Dodge Challenger. We never actually raced that car. We bought the car. There were some issues, and then we sold the car. Anybody got the ice tip? Yeah, Emmett's in the chat. Somebody get the ice tip line. So when it was, and at this point in time, I'm making decent money. Everything's good. Let's talk about how you make money in racing. Let's do the math. Okay. So I bought the RX-8. I bought an RX-8 from a guy as a race car that had won at the 9 Hours of Road Atlanta just a couple of months before. It had been gone through completely. He had done everything. I paid, I think, $30,000 for that car. I bought another one that was not done, but didn't have a cage, none of that shit. And I paid $5,000 for that car. And I think I paid $5,000 for the car. I put another 28 to 30 into it with the safety gear, the race car parts, building everything and all that. I think it cost me it probably cost me 28, 30 grand to get that car race ready. Now it ended up with 2. And then we bought the MX-5. That was, I think we spent another 50 or 60, but that was a couple of years later. So I'm in these cars for about 60 grand. We paid cash for it, but, and we went to, the first race we went to was at St. Petersburg in Florida. Had a great time. Race week. I paid for that out of my pocket. I think I spent about 18 or 20 grand. Now, again, I have shops that are profitable that's paying for all of this, right? I no, Kim, that's not how you make money in racing, you dumb fuck. So the way I made money in racing was by renting the cars. So my cost for a weekend was about 20 grand, 22 grand, somewhere along in there, depending on how many sets of tires we used, how far the cars were, how many employees I took with me. Normally I ran pretty lean. I would run 1 or 2 people per car. So I'd have like 4 guys there plus me. Sometimes we'll only have 3 guys there plus me. Just depends. Each car rented for about $25,000, $26,000 for the weekend. And I usually rent both of them. So that's, I tried to get 45, 50 grand a weekend out of them is what I tried. Couldn't always do that, but could. And I never did sponsorships, you dumb fuck. You don't understand business, Kim. You were literally somebody who simply followed what somebody else did. You don't have any talent, sir. I'm sorry. Cry harder. So I make about 50 grand a weekend. I made more. And I had a bunch of other things too. We would do track days. I'd rent the cars for $5 grand for the day. Cost me like $300 to go to the track. There were a lot of ways that I made money with my race cars. And that was it. Now, to be able to go racing, we actually had to do some things like where we didn't have actual sponsorships, we did have partnerships. The best partnership I ever had was with GoPro. And GoPro allowed us to GoPro wouldn't give us any money. Okay. They just, that's just not how it works in touring car. Kim doesn't understand anything. Yes, exactly. People paid me to go racing. Kim is full of cope. He's just full of cope. Limited 360. Yeah, no, it's I got some good. Hey, you want to see something? Here's what it looks like when you write off 60 or 35 grand. Let's just call it 35 grand. Now, obviously this car had made me like 100 grand or more, but let me, I got something for you. All right. So we're going to do story time, I guess. Where the fuck is that? He comes from money. Dude, I grew up dirt fucking poor, Kim. Literally. Dirt fucking poor. Like, I wish I made money when I was young, but I didn't. Let's see. Where's a good picture of it? So, let's share screen. There we go. So this is what it looks like when you write off 30 grand. So this is a story of stupidity on my part. This is what happens when you're a nice guy. So this car had just won a club race. It had just been, and I think in top 4 at Most Sport, and I loaned it to a friend of mine who, I was helping a buddy out. I told my buddy, all he had to do is put fuel in the car and put fuel in the car, and I'll let you run the car. So I did, and he destroyed it. He destroyed it. He fucked that thing up. Now, we would have actually rebuilt the car. We had I bought another chassis. I still have it. I bought another chassis, a bunch of other shit, but we switched to, that was actually a good thing. That was good timing, to be honest, because we switched to a different car. Give me a second. I'll put that up. We actually switched cars. It was good timing because that car, we only have one more year of eligibility in pro racing with that car. And pro racing is where I was making most of the money with the cars. And so it started making less and less sense to have that car. So what we did is we built a new car, right? I mean, that's what you do. And so this car, which I like this picture of it. This is like the best picture of it ever. You guys have seen this picture before. This is the MX-5. Now I built 2 of these as well. I built 2 of these. I sold one after the fact. And but this was a good car. This car actually, I mean, it won. We did very well with this car. I still own this car. This car is in my warehouse. I bought this car as a kind of a roller, and then converted it from MX Cup spec to World Challenge spec. This is at Mosport in Canada land. It's a great picture. Right. It's not a Miata. It's an MX-5. Only the small ones are Miatas. This car is actually, when you put it next to a Miata, it's big. It's a big car. So in this car, I probably had about 50 grand in this car. Now that car made me a shit ton of money, right? Like it was a good investment for me. The other car, I had about 28 grand in, a lot less money, a lot less. But I sold that car. That car went away pretty early on. And actually not early on, pretty early after I got out of racing. And after I retired. Now this car was really stupid cheap. It's stupid cheap to run. I could buy a motor. I could buy the basis of a motor for $1,000. To build a complete race motor was $7,000. That's all the stuff that we had to do to it to make to make the conversion from a spec to World Challenge. There's a lot of stuff going on with the suspension, which still don't really talk about much, but it's really a great car. On that car, I actually, just to get the balance right, that car actually has an aluminum exhaust from the where the cat would be back, and I built an aluminum muffler for it. It was really badass. So this is one of my favorite cars that we ran, and it was really good. You can tell Grid had money. I made money. I made money. That's it. Kim just can't get into it. Aluminum exhausts don't last. We would break one every weekend. So the thing is I would build a new one. We'd go to the track. It would live the weekend, but when we got it back, it'd be cracked and basically falling off the car, and I'd have to build another one. But I didn't mind because, again, I made money racing these. Again, this is simple math, right? This is very simple math. My expenses on a weekend, even with the MX-5s, was about $25,000. I rented the cars out. I basically doubled my money every single weekend. I rented them, so they were self-sufficient. They didn't detract from the shops. However, it wouldn't have fucking mattered because the shops actually made enough money to pay for all of the racing, right? And again, Kim, I don't think you understand. I had 60 employees at one time. I was making more money as just an uneducated mechanic than most people can really think about. I did have a deal with Kim, you just overtalked me the whole time. You didn't get shit, bud. He said all he can do is cope in chat because he can't prove anything. He doesn't know shit. He thinks that sponsorships are where racers make their money. Like literally, that's the dumbest shit ever. That's dumb. Like nobody does that. Like that's not how it works. Now I did have a really good deal with GoPro, and I really like that. So you're muted up half the time. No, you weren't. You weren't muted. You talked over me the whole fucking time, you cockbag. Like, get out of here. Like, what? You just can't admit that you're wrong. It's really important to admit when you're wrong, Kim, and you should. So anyway, you were muting yourself. Well, that's only because you couldn't keep your mouth shut. But you still overtalked me. Maybe you had a lag. There were people who said that you might have had a lag. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so there are challenges when you're doing this, guys. Part of it is staffing, right? Like there's a real issue with staffing. At one time I had 60 people working for me. I had 3, maybe arguably 4 managers that worked for me, that actually ran the different businesses because I was all out. And you know, it's really tough. It's really tough to, I don't know, man. It's really tough to find good people. Now, the way that the body shop was easy. The tuning shop was actually pretty easy. But the service shop, which is where I should have been making a shit ton of money doing oil changes and brake jobs and all that kind of shit. Doing that, it was so hard to find an effective manager for the service shop. Like, you would think that it wouldn't be, right? You would think that this is an easy thing to do. You've got some mechanics, you've got a service writer, you've got, you've got a parts guy, and you got a front office lady. It's not a lot of staff to keep track of, and all you're doing is basic, brake jobs. You're doing tuning, or not tuning. You're doing, maybe do some injectors on something. Maybe I think we did 2 or 3 engine swaps during that. I didn't time anybody out. The moderator might have. Outlaw. So I'm not timing anybody out. So family owned a repair shop in Detroit for 44 years. Father struggled to find competent people to help run it, so he ended up working 70 to 90 hours a week to keep it humming along. So that's where I ended up. That's exactly where I ended up. And I didn't like working in the service shop. I hated the service shop. I hated working I just simply hated working in the service shop. I didn't like it. And I really, but you're right. Who said that? That was, Limited 360. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's a hard position to fill. Clover Tack is right. Service manager does need to be at least an ex-mechanic so that they understand everything. But I never could get a manager that worked for the service shop that actually consistently made money. It's a lot of dishonesty with people. And it's an easy place to where it's an easy business to be dishonest in, is in the service end. So I ended up, that was terrible, man. It was just terrible. I hated the service shop, man. Hated it. So, it is what it is. Now I like the paint shop. Although that actually ran on its own, and basically the only time I ever went over there was to fire somebody. I like the tuning shop. I love that. It was really cool because they were always doing something cool, whether they were building cool engines, whether they were doing suspension work, whatever. There was always something cool going on in the tuning shop. Love that place. And obviously I lived in the race shop. That's where I was 24/7. If I could be there 24/7, I couldn't because I was married, but yeah, it worked out pretty well. I don't understand how Kim can't do simple math. I can lay it all out, but that's okay. But Kim is an excellent example of the Kim is an excellent example of what happens when you give out participation trophies. And that's what we got to stop, guys. He's one of those guys that just never fucking lost. And so when he sees somebody that he thinks is less than him, it can't possibly be. So as everybody knows, and it's easy to prove that I grew up dirt poor. My brother's still dirt poor, really. I mean, he makes $28 an hour, It's not an open panel, Kim. This is my show. I don't like you, Kim. You should go away. So, Steelman does have mushroom knowledge. Yeah, it's unfortunate that Kim is such a bitch because he would understand that there are people like me out there whose parents are still poor, right? It's not about being a coward, Kim. I just don't like you. Anyway, yeah, Ghost 1978, no tools on the floor. That is actually one of my biggest pet peeves is I hate things on the floor. I hate things on the floor. Just hate it. It's really annoying. I also don't like, I don't like when people I hate it when people don't clean, right? Like I took that Mini apart yesterday, and obviously it had an oil leak from the turbo feed line and probably the turbo drain line as well. And the whole fucking front of the engine is covered in fucking grease and oil. And I was going to leave it. I was going to say, fuck it and just leave it alone. And I couldn't. I had to get the cleaner out and clean that shit off because fucking nasty, man. It's gross. So Ghost can't block you. What do you mean? Whatever. We don't ban people here either, by the way. So anyway, I'm getting derailed by Kim, which is something I don't really care about. Yeah, it's weird. Poor Kim. Poor Kim. I mean, he can actually block you, but he's a moderator, so can't do that. You're not speaking the truth, Kim. As a matter of fact, you're guessing, and you don't have any. You don't have literally. You have nothing. You blocked all the mods. Well, you're fucking gone. You can't block mods, bro. You don't have any experience dealing with people, Kim, but I'm going to show you. You're gone, sir. You cannot block my mods. Actually, I'm not a mod on. I have to have a. Oh yeah, I can. There we go. There you go. Bye, Kim. Do not block my mods. Anyway, so like Kim, there's a lot of young men out there today that have gotten participation trophies in life. They don't know how to lose. They don't even know how to win either, because they've never had an actual win. I was on my way to drop my kid off this morning, and the radio host, because nobody was on yet, you can cock block the mods, sure, but you can't block the mods, right? If you block the mods, you got to go forever. I did not, Anson. Anyway, so this idea of participation trophies is why we get people like Kim, why we get other people that don't understand how to lose. That don't understand what it's like to lose. Now, look, I will agree that there's some kids out there who have confidence issues. And for those, I think that there's a case to be made for giving a little extra pat on the back when you get home, right? For example, let's say that you're back in my day when there were no such thing as participation trophies. You just got what you got. That's it. I went home and if we lost a baseball game or a football game, or I didn't play soccer, but anything else, if I lost, I didn't get ice cream on the way home. When I got home, if I was feeling particularly down, I might get a pat on the back from the old man, say, well, gotta do better next time. You'll get them next time, but you gotta do better. And there are some kids that take things so personally that maybe when their parents get them home and they have a talk to them about, hey, next time you'll be better, maybe they get maybe they get a scoop of ice cream with their dinner, right? Not as a reward, you understand, but as kind of a treat. The participation trophy, we're all the same. We all have to believe the same way. We all have to have the same experiences, blah, 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 all that bullshit. People like that, they're ruining the country. I'm not the same as a woman. I'm not the same as Ghost 1978 out there. I'm not the same person as El Cheapo Dago. Mike Ball and I have very little in common other than being human. We're not the same. We don't blend together. Dude, don't. Why did I ban Kim? Because Kim blocked my mods. You don't do that. It's one of those things. It's one of those things. Don't block my mods. Also, he's a bitch. I don't like bitches. Yeah. We're not the same. Some of us are different. Even like my brother and I are massively different. My brother and I are tremendously different. My brother's barely even been out of the house. or out of the state. I think he's been out of state twice. He went to New York with me once to go pick up a car, and he went to Florida for Bike Week. That's it. Well, hey, Kim, you're the dumbass that's using an alt account to back your own position like a bitch. Seriously? Let's look at this, guys. Our buddy Outlaw here, that's Kim. That's Kim. He was in here pumping his own ass up, right? He was pumping his own ass up, right? He was literally like, no, Kim is right. That's not that's not Steel Man. It doesn't matter. I'm going to block. That's he can run his mouth all he wants, but don't block. Whatever. That's not Steel Man. That's Kim on an alt account. Because he literally said I wouldn't let him up on the panel. If it is Steel Man, then who cares? Nobody gives a shit. If it's Kim, he's a bitch. So there's no desperate banning. I actually he will be the second person I have banned, and I wouldn't have banned him if he hadn't blocked the mods. Dude, don't. If he had not blocked the mods, he'd still be here. But he did. You see how that works? That's just Anson. That's true. I don't require anybody to sub here. I should, though. I should. Well, I mean, I've muted Kim pretty much indefinitely. I don't know. I'll check. I'll have to check the list. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Fuck that guy. Who cares? Anyway, back to the reality. So I'm listening to this radio guy talk about it. And I think this whole idea of we're all the same, we're all equals, we all deserve the same lot in life, that's all bullshit. See, this is why Kim is pissed, right? He thinks that I somehow had an advantage because I gained something that he hasn't been able to on his own. So, fuck him. My brother works as a welder for like $28 an hour. It may be less than that. I just think it's $28 an hour. He literally works overtime just to be able to pay for the shit that he wants in life. It's an interesting thing to watch. My mom, lives on about $1,000 a month, maybe $1,200, right? My parents were never rich. They don't have a lot. They never had a lot in life. But I do, because I worked really fucking hard for it. We're not all equal. We're not going to be equal. Part of finding that out is when you're on a T-ball team and Johnny hits better than you, and so he is the starting hitter. Or he bats cleanup because they know your ass is going to strike out. It's not about equality, folks. It's a meritocracy. That's a problem Kim has. The problem Kim has is he couldn't do it. So obviously everybody else had to be cheating. Well, Ghost 1978, she's a retired lady that doesn't go anywhere, doesn't do anything. A a big deal for her is to go down to Waffle House and buy a cup of coffee and maybe an order of pancakes with bacon. Right? That's a big day for her. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't spend any money. They bought the house that she lives in now. My parents bought back in probably like 2005, maybe 2000. Probably 2005 or 6, 40 grand, and bought it at auction. I don't know. They paid it off at some point. But they used their savings to put a new roof on it 4 or 5 years ago. Kim the other night made me realize that there's a certain segment of society that have no idea, just don't have any idea. They don't understand what hard work gets you. They don't understand that people, just because you've done X doesn't mean you're going to get Y. It's an interesting thing that Kim comes out and tries to say that I had a lot of money. I came from money. I wish I had. Life would have been a lot easier. I've actually, Anson, I know you're joking, but I've never had an inheritance. I've never inherited anything. Not one thing. We're turning the nation into, as Mr. Mister says, perpetual victims because they don't get their way. Because somebody works harder than they do. Because somebody tries harder. Because somebody lucks into it. Anson, your oldest brother inherited your generational wealth. I do come from money, but you didn't get it. Yeah, there's that too. In my case, by the time my grandmother lived to be 104 years old, she didn't have anything left. There wasn't anything left. We were paying for her to live at the end. When my mom passes, there's some property that'll go to my sons. I won't get it. Limited 360 says, Buddy got lucky, picked up a machine shop for $110K in 2009. That's a deal. It's a multi-million-dollar revenue shop now. He grinds so hard 7 days a week, still though to have it. Yeah, absolutely. I get that, man. I feel that, right? In 2001, I was part of a team that won it at Daytona. We had a great fucking car. We did great. I was not listed as an official team member. I came down late. I didn't get a Rolex that year for being part of the winning team. but I gained a lot of experience. Now, had I been listed as a crew member in 2001 when we won American GT with the Jim Comer Camaro, had I been listed as an official member of the team, that would have opened some doors for me earlier. I would have made money sooner. But it didn't. I wasn't. Guys like Kim will never understand sleeping on a shop floor on a fucking pallet in a sleeping bag, showering at the local KOA or in the shop. Most race shops have showers for a reason. Guys like Kim will never understand actual adversity in the hunger and the desire to get ahead. I never actually set out to be wealthy. I just wanted to get by. And then I wanted to build something. And once I built something, I wanted to build something else. And once I did that, I wanted to do it again. People who luck into wealth often squander it because they have no clue about managing finances. Absolutely. I've been somewhat guilty of that myself. Angel Berber says, me and my much younger brother are completely different. He is a tradesman, mechanic, carpenter, and welding. I am a counselor of youth. We grew up with a hybrid of rural and urban life. Yeah. My brother and I are completely different. He's never left the state. Mr. Mister says his grandpop is 85 and owns a body shop. He refuses to retire. He gets bored, but he likes to play baseball with the grandkids. That's good life right there. I hope to be that guy to some degree. It's an interesting thing, though, because I really do feel like that Kim, before the storm, thinks he had it hard in life. I don't think he did. I think that's part of the problem with society. When I was growing up, my parents just didn't make a lot of money. They just didn't. They never had money. They didn't pay for my college. I had to pay for my college. I worked 2 to 3 jobs all throughout college. I got one Pell Grant. One. Paid for my books. I had to pay for my tuition myself. When I grew up, we were always concerned that the power was going to get shut off. The water would get shut off. We had so little money that we had wood heat. Not only did we have a wood stove to heat the whole fucking house, we had to chop the wood, stack it, bring it in. I used to go to school with my clothes smelling like hickory smoke and being made fun of for it. I never played victim. I just determined in my head that I was never, ever, ever going to stop working hard to not be that again. This is what people like Kim before the storm. Kim before the storm doesn't understand that. He can't understand it because he did actually have a good life. He did come from money. He doesn't consider it coming from money, but I would have. I saw part of that, Mr. Mister. I haven't gone back to watch all of it. I did like the jokes about Tim Pool that were being made on Rolo, though. It's pretty good. I'll watch it when I have time. I'll listen to it while I'm working. So the reason that I have such an issue with people like Kim saying that I came from money or life was given to me is that it's offensive. It's offensive because I worked really, really hard to get to where I am. And I could just not do any of this. I could turn this computer off right now, go the fuck away, not care. I don't need to make money doing this. I don't need the attention. I have plenty of attention in my life. I actually do this because I think that maybe the things I say will help somebody. Maybe not. I don't know. Guys like Kim can't understand that. Angel Berber Anson is radical sobriety, and he is absolutely trolling. I mean, to be honest with you guys, I am being a little unfair. Being a little unfair to Kim. I think he's very lonely. I think he's bitter. I think he looks around at people who have what he considers a good life and is very jealous. I really feel bad for him. I won't talk about Kim anymore. So, but I am going to say that, guys, we have a lot of stuff going on in our world right now. We have a lot of really fucked up things. Listening to the radio this morning about the participation trophies and how parents got mad when the host of the show would tell their kid he was a loser. Can you imagine that? If you're on the losers, if you've literally lost and your dad or mom said, "Hey, you're on the losers team this year," which is a fact. Can you imagine having another parent tell you that you shouldn't tell your child that they're on the losers team when they actually are? It's amazing. This brain rot, it's eating our society. It's just guys, it's It's bad. It's all bad. I think that's why I was so big into racing. Think about the other side of it too. You put all that effort and hard work, and just to be considered equal to somebody who doesn't, the same as the left expects us to be. You know, that's really there's a lot of truth in that. There's a lot of truth in that. When I was racing, and I've said this many, many times, I want to beat you on the track. I want to make sure that I beat you fair and square. We were at Mid Ohio one year. My competitor blew every engine they had in the trailer, my closest competitor, and rolled their car, broke the windshield. Now they happened to be running the same car that we were. So we loaned them our engine stand and some spare parts, and we cut the windshield out of our spare car so that they could put it in their car. And I loaned them a crew guy to help, you know, because he only had 2 or 3 guys and he needed another one. So I loaned him a guy to make sure that we beat them on the track, not in the pits. I didn't show up for a consolation prize. I didn't put all the work in to show up and just not even have any competition. There's nothing wrong with losing. You learn, you apply, you work harder, you get better, you eventually win. Iron sharpens iron, right? I love Texas Motor Speedway. Losing is how you learn to get better. If all you ever did was win, you would never improve. Been an interesting show today, guys. I really do appreciate everybody who came out, for sure. Looks like the new clip just dropped. That's rad. I like that. I like that a lot. Correct. And there are some things that you just can't win. One of the reasons I really like golf is you can't really win at golf. You can't beat it. If you shoot a low score, somebody can shoot a lower score. Am I streaming tonight? I don't have anything planned for tonight. I thought I was going to have a debate, but I don't. The clip of, yeah, that's fucking hilarious, right? Another clip just dropped, I think. Let me see. Did it just drop? I might stream tonight, guys. I don't know. We'll see. You thought golfing was just an excuse to drink and drive? You didn't know it was a sport? Yeah, it's a sport. I don't know. Hockey's a sport, but I don't know if it's the best sport. Oh yeah, that is the clip. I thought there was another clip dropping from the other one of whatever. Maybe that drops later. But yeah, it's pretty fucking funny. Yeah. Racing is also it's a you can win a race, but you will never win racing. Because somebody's always going to get better. They're always going to get faster. You can always have a bad day. You can always have a mechanical problem. Just like golf, you can always hit a bad shot, you know, and you can only blame yourself. I don't really, I don't, I'm not a big, I don't consider those actual sports. So someone always will go faster. That's for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Poor, it's terrible for our kids today, guys. It really is. I don't know. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know how to solve this problem. I'm certainly not saying that I've got the problem solved by any stretch. I'm just saying that the idea that we're all equal, that we should all have the similar performance and all of that is insane. It's the differences that make us great. It's the fact that I can look at something and understand how it works and take it apart and everything. But I look at I look at some complex math problems and I may not have the first fucking clue. My wife, on the other hand, cannot understand mechanical anything. And yet, if you put, these really complex math problems or, some really interesting, financial uh, formulas or strategies in front of her, she'll understand it 100%. I actually don't really. Well, I'll get into that in a second. Angel Burger. Oh no, already seen that one. That's funny. He would shock you with a 9-volt battery. That's hilarious. So, I think it's interesting that there's so many people that can. I think it's interesting. There's so many people these days that are way more have way more specialty focused than ever. Limited 360. I can do anything mechanical or code based, people, emotion, reactions. Wife says I fail at that. Not too different than that. I read emotions pretty well, but certainly I can improve. Mechanical, I got it. I did a lot with. Like I said, I did a lot with AEM before. I did. I mean, I started out my tuning career with Motec back when you had to go to school. You had to go to Motec and take their class to operate it, and you had to own a bunch of very specific equipment to even be able to sell their product or tune it. Obviously, that's changed now, but back when I started tuning, I joke about this. Back when I started tuning, they wouldn't let you touch a car with the laptop hooked up to it. Like, you just wouldn't do it. M800 in a drawer. That's a great unit. It still works perfect. There's nothing wrong with an M800 at all. We used a lot of those. Angel Berber says his dad deserves it. He worked himself to the bone for the family from the age of 8 years old. And the best honor I can do for him is to take care of him in his older years and spoil him a little bit. That's why I like Angel Berber. I like that guy. He's actually been up on the show about a year ago. Literally learn anything on YouTube. Yeah. Well, you can learn it, but to be proficient at it, that's a whole other thing. And I used to get this a lot, you know, back when forums were a thing. I would have some moron come in and try and tell me how to tune a car. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, oh, well, so-and-so on the forum said that, you know, these injectors need this to work. And I'm like, yeah, that's not how this fucking works, moron. And or this guy with Haltech said that you need to do this to make the AEM work. And I'd be like, no, that's gay. That's not how it works. Sorry, guys, oh, yeah, okay. I didn't realize we weren't. The number of hacked tunes. Yeah. So I did a lot of the beta test work for the Evo 9 and 10 ECUs, especially the MyVec ECU and the Evo 10, but also the Evo 9. And I did so I did the Evo 9 box. I did the Evo 10 box for AEM. I did the version 2 Supra box. I did all of the not all of them. My bass tunes are included with when you get the software. Yeah, I did DOS, man. Limited 360. I started in DOS with Motec and Haltech and Electromotive, which was insane. I've been around a long time. So I think that was one of Kim's problems that he had with me was I said quite literally that, you know, if you have those tunes and, you know, if you've started with those bass tunes, then you're welcome. And he, you know, he's like, well, did you monetize that? Did you get residuals off of that? And I'm like, no. I mean, it's a fucking tune. You don't get residuals off of tunes. I mean, the guy he couldn't grasp common concepts in my industry. So. Cam the King, do you remember actual manuals, like big, thick ass notebooks that you would sit back? You know, you'd have a big fucking bookshelf and you just have all these manuals in 3-ring binders or whatever. Do you remember that shit? Because I do. I absolutely do. I still have, I took a class in 2002, I think, maybe 3. It was called Optimum G. It was by the guy who does all of the, who did a bunch of the suspension and aero work for GM, and as part of the GM racing program. And so you had to pay to go to the class, and then, you know, obviously there was no like computer disk or anything. There wasn't a USB dongle but it was this fucking thick, I still have it, thick ass book from Optimum G. And I still refer to it every once in a while. So Limited 360. I have a question for you. Have you ever heard of EFI University? What do you think of it? I mean, a bass tune is a bass tune, right? Like I didn't do canned tunes like some other guys do, mainly because one of the problems with a canned tune is I had this discussion with Shane, and I think this is why Shane doesn't really do canned tunes, is because you don't know how they have the ECU set up. You don't know. I mean, there's a lot of mechanical things you don't know. You can kind of guess at, and they can tell you something, but you don't actually know it. And without tuning the car on a dyno and doing road tuning and a bunch of other things, you're just fucking guessing, and guessing is bad when you're dealing with something that's really super expensive. Yeah, so limited 360, I think they're full of crap. I actually took their course, and they actually took a car that I had perfectly tuned, and they were going to change the tune, and they made it 100% worse. And we ended, it was absolutely horrible. And they were like, well, the theory works, the math works. It's just not working in this case. We need to refine it. And if we spent the time on it, we could get there. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't matter, because who the fuck cares? I had, the car. Their tuning philosophy doesn't work with me and the way I do things. But what do I know? I'm just tuning airplanes now. So, yeah. Right. That's my experience. And all of the, so that's been my experience as well. I'm not nice. I'm the opposite of nice, to be honest with you. Yeah. I'm not really, I've gone to school to do a lot of this stuff. Like I went to Motec's class. Motec has a very different, especially the M800, as you know, has a different tuning strategy than, say, a Haltech, especially the newer Haltechs, which are all they're getting away from cell by. Well, they're still doing cell by cell, but they're mostly trying to do volumetric efficiency, which is great. It makes everything easy. I think it's very interesting the way tuning has evolved. I'm tuning an airplane right now on a Haltech, and it's pretty cool, but it's not that cool. That's cool, Cam. I won't do helicopters, but airplanes are cool. What kind of plane is it? I have, Angel Berber. I have, and actually, BIY was watching me when I did a thing a while back where I was assembling a VW Aero engine. I was getting it all set to assemble, and I just had so many issues with the camera. I haven't done it, but I might do something. I'm actually going to build the rotary engine for my airplane coming up next. I believe in a Cessna. Is it in a? Are you in? Yeah, BIY was there. Limitless 360. Are you based in Colorado by any chance? And with the group of people, what is it? It's like not Crew Dog. It's I can't remember. Can't remember the name of those guys. Florida. Okay, yeah, that's different. Then there's a company in, I believe they're based in Colorado, that are trying to get the LS based flight engine certified for use, and they have an airplane flying. Yeah, I have an 0235 airplane engine I need to rebuild as well, so I could do that. Yeah, there are a lot of people doing that kind of content. I'm just different. Oh, okay. Yeah, Yeah, the fuel system, the support systems are where all the flight engines go tits up. To be honest, I'm doing one in my. I'll show you. Let me. Give me a second. Let me. I'll throw up some pics if I can. I don't know if I have them on this computer, but we'll see. Give me a second. I will see what I can do. All right, so I'll throw this up here. This is also going to kind of fuck with. I hope that Kim guy is still hate watching because this will kind of fuck with his brain a little bit. All right, so that's my airplane that's getting the rotary motor, and then so these are some drawings of the PSRU that we're currently using. There's a picture of the PSRU. This is in another plane. This is not my plane. That's a buddy's plane. It's a turbo. That's a 3-rotor turbo engine. This is a bunch of stuff about it. This is a false firewall with an engine that's similar to mine bolted up to it. That's some drawings and stuff. That's somebody else's setup. This has the same type of PSRU, but it's a different airplane with a vastly different engine mount. Huh, that's weird. Just trying to find, I have it's odd. I have a picture of my actual setup. There it is. Not a particularly good picture, but it's still a picture. So there's that's actually my engine, and that's the setup on my airplane. Now, this doesn't have an intake on it. This doesn't have the turbo on it. This doesn't have anything else on it. This is just the engine mount and the engine attached to it, and with the propeller and everything set up. So that's this is this is this is what it looks like. Yeah. What's the reasoning behind the rotary engine? There's only 4 moving parts. Even if it has a problem in the air, it's not going to stop running. So it's and the technology, even though it's so those parts were made by the billet pieces you see were made by a guy named Tracy Crook in Florida. He's an awesome dude. He retired. Now they're no longer available. So the drawings that you saw are parts that that I may bring to market in the near future. So that's it. How far can I travel without refueling? I burn roughly 8 gallons, maybe 7 gallons an hour, and I have 52 gallons of fuel on board. So I don't know, longer than I'll stay up, because I will need to piss or get out and stretch my legs. Like longer than I want to. And the plane does 200 miles an hour. So yeah, those parts are no longer available. Limited 360. So I have to like build them and engineer them. I mean, it would be cool if they were available. I don't think we're ever going to see a true hybrid flight system because of weight. The weight is just too much, especially the electric motors. Even though the electric motors are getting less heavy and more powerful, the batteries and everything else is just. I think they've been trying, man, and it's just not working out. But maybe one day. I mean, battery technology is advancing, so we'll see. Blimps are the closest. Yeah, I believe that you'll see electric powered blimps in the near future, though. Honestly, I think that could bring back the blimp as a legit form of air travel for people that just aren't in a particularly big hurry. Right? Blimps don't go particularly fast, but yeah, limited 360. I think airships could be a thing because of electrical power. Yeah, there's a lot of people who think that limited 360 for sure. For sure, there's a ton of people that would agree with you. Pimp on a blimp. That's right. Alex Stein. Showing up in a blimp that's legit. Honestly, I got to be honest. That would be, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. I mean, it's making more sense. The problem with blimps is, or airships is the, right now is just, we don't have places big enough to hangar them in many areas. They're just too big. Blimp makes an entrance. That's right. That's right. There used to be a bunch of blimps that operated up in the Great Lakes area, and I think they're all gone now. I think they're all gone. Big, slow moving. I mean, but how slow moving would it really be, though? I mean, we say they're slow moving, but if you didn't have to get somewhere in a hurry, a blimp might make a lot of sense. A big airship like along the lines of the Hindenburg. So they do the limited 360 here near where I live. They actually still do the blimp training there, and I see the blimp there quite a bit. They're fast in a tornado for sure. You're waiting for the Jetsons car? That's awesome. We detoured the shit out of this stream. That's okay. I think they have more than one blimp. I think there's like 15 or 20 of them. I'm not really sure. Slow compared to a plane, but way more efficient. Absolutely. Surprised they don't mandate those in the Inflation Reduction Act. I see. I'm surprised that there are not. Especially. All right. So let's look at the idea that the lighter than air gases are more obtainable, and you can land them in any field that's big enough, right? So you can land a dirigible in a. I mean, you can land it in a football field, right? It's nicer to have a bigger field, but you don't need it to be bigger. So that helps out. Your fuel cost, especially if you did hybrid, would be if you did hybrid, your fuel cost would be like, who cares? Like, it's no big deal. If you did like propane powered ICE engines, that might even be better because propane is obviously propane is lighter than gasoline. So I think it'd be pretty cool. Yeah, balloons. Actually, there's somebody that flies a balloon in my area. I was actually going to go out and take go out with an instructor to take a flight last year, and I literally had to stay out of a specific area because the balloon was there. EV pulling energy from the ether per the Nikola Tesla approach. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's something to talk about. It's not where I wanted to go with this stream today, but it's certainly something to talk about for sure. For sure. I mean, you can control them. They're just not. They're not that great. I don't like balloons. My kid's school now offers an aviation training program, so he may start taking flight lessons next year, which would be cool. He and I can both fly, and he can fly my airplanes. Random convos are great from time to time. Well, you know, the guy Kim, but he derailed the conversation so badly. You know, I actually, you know, kind of really wanted to walk through quite a bit of how, you know, how mentality means a lot when you're trying to do when you're trying to make your way in life, right? Like, you know, having various various things go on in life. No, you're okay, man. Say your kid doesn't go to public schools without saying he doesn't go to public schools. That's true. I'm actually really open about that. My son goes to a private school. we probably would be okay with him going to public school here, but when we were in California, it just didn't work out, right? Or when he was in California, because my wife and my wife and son only had one at the time. And my wife was working in California, so just in the interest of consistency, rather than, and that's before we bought the house in Tennessee. So rather than him jumping back and forth between Colorado, which is where we actually lived, and California, rather than her jumping back and forth, we rented a place there, and he went to school there when he was in like first grade. So, and it was terrible. It was horrible. Public school was complete dog shit. Like, it was terrible. So when we moved back here, there's one of the best private schools in the country here. I always wanted to go there when I was a kid, but I couldn't because my parents couldn't afford it. The only way I got to go to military school is because I tested in, because I was really fucking smart. Like, otherwise I would have just been a public school person as well. But in reality, even though I went to a military school, I could have graduated. I had enough credits to graduate early out of military school, but I ended up going back to public school for the last semester, from January to June or May, just so I could be around like normal kids and all of that. And that was a mistake on my part, to be honest. It was really bad. So, Mr. is on something there. He had to because of the jab. Yeah, for sure, man. If I'd been, our school didn't require that. None of the schools here required the jab, but certainly, that's it. And there's nothing really wrong with the schools in my area at all. I think there's something wrong with the sports programs in schools today. I think that while a lot of people will disagree with me because so many people have fond memories of high school football and baseball and all of that. I think it's annoyingly sports centered in school now, to the point where I think it's detrimental to society with the way that we emphasize all of these high school sports that don't fucking matter. Graduated 2 years early because I didn't want to be around the other people. Yeah. I did the opposite of that, Cam. And it was, in retrospect, it was a mistake to do that. But at the time, I felt like I was doing the right thing. Because when, there was no senior trip in my military school, there was no senior trip. There was no, it's an all male school. So there's no like, high school dance, there's no, graduation dance or anything. There's a graduation ceremony, but no girls there, right? So really, I was just trying to go back and get acclimated to being around normal people. Probably a mistake. At 18, I thought I knew more than I did, right? Also, I came out of military school thinking I knew fucking everything. I'm a winner, right? There is no wall I cannot destroy. There's no obstacle that cannot be traversed. A lot of people went homeschool. Homeschool is going to be the next pariah, guys. The next big thing in America that is demonized, it already kind of is getting there, but is going to be homeschooling. Because a lot of people back in the jab, they went homeschool and they found out that, hey, our kids aren't actually, they don't have problems with being socialized. They're not weird kids. they don't have, they're actually learning really fast and really well, and they actually understand and test out well. And like, this is fucking awesome. And you watch, the very next thing is that homeschooling is going to be demonized. 100%. Local college, if you went to high school, then it was a fraction of time and you got college credit. Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, I think parents are, I don't think parents are going to be a problem. I think lawmakers are going to be the problem. Buddha, what I see happening, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Don't think I am, but I hope. This is what I see happening. Maybe I'm wrong. What I see happening is the narrative's going to be spun to all of these homeschool kids are a problem. They have disciplinary problems. They don't fit in. They don't test well, blah, 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 blah. And they're not going to go to parents. They're going to go to, they're not going to talk to parents about this shit. Fuck no. Why would they do that? That's dumb. They're not going to go to parents. They're going to go to the school board. And they're going to say, hey, we cannot allow these parents to be homeschooling their kids. This is crazy. Don't do that. And that's what's going to happen. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to be, that's just the way it's going to be. And I honestly see, I think that with good homeschooling, you'll see kids able to graduate high school at 16 or 17, and they'll take a year or two to grow up a little bit, and then they'll go to college and they'll just fucking kill it. You got huge argument yesterday with a parent at your niece's softball game. She told my niece she needed to wear a push-up bra to get a boyfriend. Oh my fucking God. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? This is nuts. That's crazy, man. It's crazy. That's nuts. I'm going to drop off an hour early today, guys. Normally I wouldn't. I'd hang out with you much longer, but I got shit to do. So the other day I had to cut out early because I had to talk to the caterer. I have to talk to the caterer again because we're having some questions that they're asking me some hard questions about how many people are going to be there. Later today on my Discord, there's going to be a link. Please pass it around to anyone that you know is going to DebateCon. That link will be to a service called Eventbrite. It'll be today or tomorrow. I don't know when it'll go live, but as soon as it goes live, it's going to go on Discord. This is important because while I'm not going to charge anyone to come to the event, in order to have a rough idea of how much food to plan for, I'm going to I have to have you check in somehow. So this will be how you check in. So you just go to Eventbrite. You'll click that you need 1 ticket or 2 tickets or 3 tickets or whatever. You can use your screen name. You don't have to use a real name or anything like that. Just so I know how many people are coming and can plan for the food. And then that way I can get a hold of the caterer, make that happen. I've got to go set up the Eventbrite right now. And then after I set that up, I actually have to, I'm getting the rest of the stuff staged and set up for the audio and everything else. If we have some young men or even just strong men that can show up a little bit early, I think upstairs we're going to put down a mat and then some blocks and then some a platform so we can raise the debaters up on a kind of a dais. And so I'm going to need some people. I'm going to need some help with that. So if you can be there early, please let me know. As always, tell a buddy and bring a friend. It's going to be a great event. Come to Nashville, hang out. My event's on Friday. The entire, DebateCon's the whole weekend. My event runs from 10 a.m. until midnight. I'll feed you lunch. I'll have water and soft drinks there pretty much all day. My wife will be there for at least some of the day. I'm not really sure when she's going to be there and when she's going to decide to leave. That's up to her. I'm, whatever. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great time. And look for that link on Eventbrite coming up quickly. We are about 10 days out, and so we need to get some stuff done. Yeah. There's the Discord link. Thank you, Mr. You guys have a great rest of your day. I'm going to get out of here. Just